My name's Keith Attwood. I'm currently a Deputy Lieutenant with specific responsibilities for promoting these awards, the King's Awards for Enterprise, across the County of Essex. My colleague is also on the call, Claire Doby, who works with me in doing so. Prior to that, in my executive career, I was the CEO of Chelmsford-based E2V Technologies, which themselves have been multiple award winners since the inception of this award scheme in 1966. There's a few housekeeping matters that I want to cover. We have a relatively large number of attendees. So with the exception of the panel, could I ask you all to keep your mics on mute during the presentations, please? As we have so much ground to cover today, it'd be great if you could hold your questions until the Q&A session at the end. And as normal, raise a hand and I'll do my best to ensure we get all the questions aired and answered. The event is being recorded, and the recording and extracts thereof are likely to be used in our ongoing promotional efforts going forward. And on behalf of everybody here, I'd like to express our heartfelt thanks to our speakers today, Chloe, James, Stuart, Graham and Andy. I'll let everybody introduce themselves properly as we get on with the presentation. They're here to share their experiences of the King's Award for Enterprise. We were hoping to have Sarenga Harath join us. Unfortunately, he's had some communications problems. And as a consequence of that, I've asked Chloe Evans from the Central King's Award Office to do a little bit extra on the sustainability category. So that's where we're at. So if we could, I'd like to push on, and I'll introduce Chloe, please, if you could take us forward. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Keith. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much to Keith and his team for arranging this event today. I'm really pleased to be here to tell you more about the King's Awards for Enterprise. I can hear a little bit of, oh, I think it's gone. If you can hear a little bit of echoing, just let me know. I don't know if it's coming from me or somebody else. Does it sound okay? Keith, does it sound okay to you?
Chloe, are you present?
Yes, can you hear me? Hello.
She may be having some communications problems. Could I ask
I can
us
hear,
to move on to
Chloe.
James Miller, please,
I can hear.
of Adventure Island.
I think if everyone else can hear me, I think it might be Keith. That Keith's maybe slightly behind, so I'll push on if that's okay. So could I have the first slide, please, Emma? Thank you. So the King's Awards for Enterprise are the most prestigious awards for UK businesses. They were first introduced back in 1965. The late Duke of Edinburgh first created them as the Queen's Awards for Industry, and since then more than 8,000 companies have been recognised with this award. The next slide, please, Emma. The awards are now confirmed in His Majesty the King's name, and this year is the 4th year of us changing from the Queen's Award for Enterprise to the King's Awards for Enterprise. Both the name and emblem have been updated to reflect this change. The royal emblem that you can see on screen here carries a huge mark of trust, prestige and national recognition. We encourage all of our recipients to use this on all of their promotional materials, emails, signature, products, because it is hugely recognised across the UK as a global mark of trust. Sorry, across the world as a global mark of trust. Next slide, please, Emma. So to tell you a little bit about our 5 categories that we have this year, this is really about who the awards are designed for and each of the categories that you could apply for this coming round. Just to say as well, you can apply for one or multiple categories. So we do sometimes have recipients win the award in 2 categories. We haven't yet had three categories, so there's maybe a challenge for some of you on the call today. So the first category that we have is innovation. Now, this category is all about businesses that have created something genuinely new, a product or service. It can be either that's commercially successful. We're looking for originality, real world impact, and a clear story of how it has helped your customers and your business. What's important here is that the product you are applying with has been on the market available to customers for at least 2 years, and you can show evidence of it being commercially successful and beneficial to your business. That commercial success is really, really important for the innovation category. Our next category is international trade. This category recognises organisations that have shown strong, consistent growth in overseas earnings. It's not necessarily about being the biggest exporter. We have 90% of our recipients are SMEs, but it's about showing a clear pattern of growth over either a 3-year period or a 6-year period. We look for applicants that have either a really steep growth over 3 years or a more steady, continuous growth over 6 years. And you have the choice as to whether you apply for that 3-year or 6-year category, depending on what shows a better picture and a better story for your business. Our third category, which, as Keith said, I'll talk more about in a moment, is sustainability. Now, we've renamed this category this year from sustainable development to sustainability because we're really celebrating organisations that are genuinely leading the way in their sustainable practices across the whole of their business. So it's about long-term commitment for at least 2 years with sustainable embedded practices in their strategy, culture, and operations. As I say, we've refreshed the category this year so that it takes a more holistic approach, looking at sustainability across the whole business and not just those that are applying with either a sustainable product or initiative. That's really about having that whole organisational approach. Our fourth category, which until this year was our newest category, is promoting opportunity through social mobility. So for this category, we're looking for employers who are actively improving social mobility in their local community or further afield. So it recognises quality programs that help people facing barriers into work, progression, or specific sectors. So what we really need to see is that this program is backed up with evidence, outcomes, and real change of how you are influencing people's lives from a lower social economic background. So these programs must have been running for at least 2 years and show evidence of how they've been really impactful to those that you have been helping through both during their time on the program and since completing the program. Just to add on this category as well, if your core purpose is to promote social mobility, so for example, if you are an apprenticeship provider or if you are a charity that has been specifically set up to help young people into work, unfortunately, you cannot apply for this category alone. You will need to apply for it as a joint application with a local business that you work with. So this, because they are the King's Award for Enterprise, we really need to see that enterprise aspect of the company, the business side, as well as that social mobility program. But I am happy to talk to anyone individually after the call who is interested in this category in more detail. And finally, and excitingly, we have the new Young Founder category, which is new for this year. So this category shines a light on exceptional businesses led by founders aged 18 to 30, recognising their achievements and potential in the UK business landscape. So for this new category, it's been designed, as I say, to recognise those aged 18 to 30, but they must still be actively involved in their company and still leading the way. So in terms of eligibility, other than the age, the business must be based in the UK and be employing at least 2 people, and they must be able to demonstrate either £250,000 of turnover or £500,000 in external funding, alongside having those two employees and being running for 2 years. Again, I'm happy to talk to anyone that would be particularly interested in this category. It's worth noting that we will be announcing our recipients for this year on the 6th of May. So we haven't yet announced our winners for this year, but last year we had 199 recipients across the 4 current at the time categories. As I say, unfortunately, we couldn't be joined by our sustainability recipient today. So I'm just going to share a little bit more on the sustainability category, and then hopefully, if I can, share a couple of quick videos, which will hopefully be interesting for you to watch today, as we can't have our recipient with us. I'm just going to check. Yep, so for the sustainability category, as I said, we have done a lot of work this year on refocusing the category to ensure that it is a whole organisation approach over that 2 whole years. So what we're looking for is organisations who are genuinely leading the way with sustainable development within their sector and influencing others in their sector as well. So businesses must be financially viable, and they must have meet expectations of current sustainability. So anyone in the sustainable development sector will know that it has changed so much over the last few years, which is why we have been continuously updating this category to make sure that we're still looking for modern sector leading standard rather than just basic compliance. So what good looks like in terms of the terminology is that all companies should be considering their Scope 1 and Scope 2 emissions, and larger companies should also address their Scope 3 emissions as well. We're really interested in benchmarking to show where you stand out compared to your competitors and others in your sector. B Corp status is not a requirement, but it certainly helps to show that you are really leading the way and that you're really committed to sustainability. And those that do have B Corp status tend to perform well in the application process. Just some things to think about. So some top tips. Highlight any innovative products or services that are genuinely improving sustainability. Explain how your leadership is driving change from the top of your organization all the way through. Tell us about what sets you apart. What do you do differently from others? It's really important to talk about your supply chain, how you influence others, so your partners, suppliers, customers, to adapt to more sustainable practices. And lastly, we do encourage applicants to look at the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So whilst we wouldn't expect you to be meeting all of these, we would encourage you to have a look at those to see where they may be able to help you narrate your application. So if possible, if I could ask Emma to pause her presentation, and I'll quickly try and share my screen to hopefully share a video. So firstly, we have a video from His Majesty talking about sustainability and why it's so important, this category, to him. Just to note, this video is a few years old. It's still very relevant, but just in the video, His Majesty refers to the awards as the Queen's Awards. Obviously now they're the King's Awards, so he is now personally responsible for the awards, but there's just a few comments in there like that, which is just worth noting. And then I will share a quick video from a recipient of this category as well. So this will play for you. Just let me know if you can't hear the sound.
It is enormously encouraging that more and more businesses in the United Kingdom are taking action to address important issues such as climate change, poverty and gender equality, ensuring that they achieve economic growth in ways that are both ethical and sustainable. This, of course, is not easy. It usually means not just taking action in their own businesses and with their own employees, but also working with others in their sector to influence their supply chains and engaging their local communities to help make the world a better, more sustainable place. More than ever before, a good business is a genuinely sustainable business. And this has nothing to do with size or sector. Each and every business can make a real contribution to the durability and biological integrity of our planet, and those that do should be recognized for their achievements with a Queen's Award for Enterprise. Her Majesty's Awards for Enterprise are the most prestigious awards for the United Kingdom's businesses. They recognize and encourage outstanding achievements in the fields of innovation, international trade, sustainable development, and promoting opportunity through social mobility. I take a close personal interest in the awards and greatly appreciate hearing about the remarkable achievements of the winners each year at the celebratory reception at Buckingham Palace. Sustainable development is something I have been trying to encourage with the business community for the past 35 years, and I'm always intrigued to learn of the innovative ways in which business owners and entrepreneurs can make their businesses more sustainable. For many, it is a personal passion. They simply could not do business in any other way. Others take a more hard-headed approach, weighing up all the factors and calculating the best way to achieve sustainable outcomes. What really matters is that there are increasing numbers of progressive businesses out there to inspire us all to aim higher and achieve more. But many more need to play their part if we are to have any realistic chance of tackling the huge climate emergency we now face. 2020 will be the 5th anniversary of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Therefore, I am delighted to announce that the criteria for Her Majesty's Enterprise Award for Sustainable Development have been updated to be more relevant to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. The awards are now open for applications, and I would urge every business to consider how they can be more sustainable, aiming to meet some of the greatest challenges for mankind, such as embracing low carbon and renewable energy, adopting circular economy solutions, acting in a socially and environmentally responsible manner, and adopting practices that rapidly restore, protect, and enhance natural ecosystems and biological diversity, as well as regenerating our communities and the world in which we live. Now, I need hardly say that I do hope you will think about what your own business could do and how applying for a Queen's Award for Enterprise could help to showcase your contribution towards making the world a safer and more sustainable place to live and to work.
Thank you. And then I just have one other short video to show you. One of our current King's Award recipients, Paul Montgomery.
At Sir Fixlock in Plymouth. We are the Hello, I am Paul Montgomery, Master Locksmith here at Sir Fixlock in Plymouth. We are the King's Award for Enterprise Awards this year because we wanted to prove that small businesses can actually win this award. As testament, with us, with only 3 employees, we managed to do it for the Sustainable Development category. Please do everything that you can to get this award. Never give up. It's so daunting when you see, especially as a small business, the amount of paperwork that you have to do. But when you persist, you will get to have the rewards from it. We can have our logos everywhere. We have flags outside the building, and everyone just loves seeing it. It gives us so much kudos against all our competitors to do it. And we got to meet His Majesty the King at Windsor Castle, which was such a surreal experience. Just to prove that this can be done, please look us up at any time and we'll gladly help you along the journey.
Thank you. So those are the 2 videos, so I'll just continue now, if that's okay, Emma, with the presentation. Thank you. So in terms of benefits for the King's Awards, obviously Paul's spoken about a few there, but just to cover some of the benefits that we hear back from our recipients. So immediately, the King's Award offers that trusted mark of credibility. So many businesses tell us that it helps open new doors and new markets, new export opportunities, new customers, particularly overseas. The King's Award emblem is very widely recognised. It is a royal endorsement that helps you stand out from your competitors, especially when you are building these new relationships. It's also a powerful conversation starter, with partners being particularly drawn to it, and as well as the images of recipients attending the royal reception. It signals trust and credibility, both His Majesty the King and the Prime Minister personally sign off our list of recipients each year. So you can personally say that it has been royally endorsed, your company has been royally endorsed with the King's Award for Enterprise. The award also provides a huge boost to staff morale. It recognises the contribution of every employee, and recipients also tell us that it helps not only attract new staff, but helps retain their valued and skilled staff as well. Next slide, please, Emma. In terms of celebrating success, the awards are a fantastic marketing and press opportunity, both at the time of announcement on the 6th of May, attending the royal reception, and also locally when His Majesty's Lord Lieutenant, the local representative in Essex, will present your company with your trophy and grant of appointment scroll, which again is signed by the PM and the King. So on announcement day, our social media channels do particularly well, exceeding benchmarks. And we have a huge range of press coverage as well, both locally and nationally. Again, as I say, the grant of appointment and trophy presentation is a really nice time to celebrate all of your staff. It's a great opportunity to invite local press along. You'll see lots of images, and I'm sure our winners will tell you today what a lovely day that is to celebrate your company and your staff as well. This slide just shows a few examples of our recipients from last year and how they have showcased their award, their emblem, their presentations across their social media platforms. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, we haven't yet announced this year's recipients. We're currently at our final stage of assessment. But last year we had 199 awards across all categories, and as I say, 88% of those were SMEs and 14% were micro companies. So please do not be put off if you think you are too small to apply. That simply isn't the case. It's also worth noting that the awards aren't competitive, so we don't compare one company's application to another, and we don't have a quota for how many recipients we can have each year. So just as an example, last year we had 20 recipients across the whole of the east of England, including 2 from Essex last year. But the year before we actually had 11 from Essex, which is a much more positive number, and hopefully we'll have closer to that number this year and next year if you go on to apply. But just to reiterate that we don't have a cap on the number of recipients that we can give out each year. It purely comes down to who applies and whether you fit the eligibility criteria. So on to the next slide. Just the overall criteria, as I said, each company, each category does have its own eligibility criteria, but just as a starter base, all businesses that apply must be based in the UK and have a minimum of 2 employees. You must have a good compliance record, including with HMRC. So it's worth noting that all of our shortlisted applicants do go through due diligence checks. So we reach out to 40 government departments and ask companies and ask them to take a look through the list of shortlisted companies and inform us of any reason that would cause harm or embarrassment to the Crown. So for example, we check with HMRC. So it's worth just noting that all of your financials, legals are in order. For example, paying the correct amount of tax on time, anything like that, we will take a look into. In terms of other eligibility criteria, we ask that all categories, obviously particularly the sustainability category, but all categories show strong environmental, social and governance practices. So just before we finish, onto the next slide. The awards will open this year on the 6th of May, and they will be open until the 8th of September. We do encourage applicants to start as soon as possible because it is quite a lengthy application form. It's an online application form which is free to use. We've actually as well changed some of our compliance this year in terms of the financials. So previously we have asked applicants submit verified figures by an independent accountant. From this year, we are asking that all applicants across all categories submit figures that have been board approved, so signed off by the senior board within your company. And then if we feel that anything is out of turn, we may then ask you to complete those independent checks. But that's something that we have changed this year to hopefully make it more accessible and easier for applicants to apply. So just onto the last slide, we are a small friendly team based in London. We're here to help you through the application process and the annual process throughout the whole year as well. If you do have any questions, please obviously raise them now on the call or send us an email. I'll be very happy to have any conversations offline as well with anyone that would be interested. And as I say, we open on the 6th of May. So when you do start the application process, if you have any questions, please do get in touch. But thank you. I'll pass back to Keith.
Thanks, Chloe, and I really appreciate you bailing me out with regards to the sustainability issue. Thanks for that. Over to you, James. I think you might be on mute still, James.
Hello?
Yeah.
Can you hear? Perfect.
Yeah.
You had to press the button. I discovered that. Right, lovely. A great presentation, Chloe. That was fantastic. And Keith, thanks for inviting me on. Yeah, just to for those that don't know, the Stockwell Group of companies, our main business is an amusement park in Southend-on-Sea, Adventure Island. And the group also, we own a sea life centre as well, just down the road. We own a number of restaurants in property as well. And we've been going it's our 50th anniversary this year, as it happens. So it's a family business. My nan, granddad, and my dad and uncle started it, and now it's gone down the generations. And here I am. So that's a little bit of the history. In terms of what was the Queen's Award and is now the King's Award, we were introduced to it, and my dad just said to me, what do you think of going for the award? And the award that we were looking at was promoting social mobility. And when I was asked about it, I wasn't really sure because I didn't have a clue what it was involved. But I said yes, and so we kicked it off. I think the biggest tip that I have in terms of the application process is maybe look at getting someone from the outside in to assist with the application. And I say that because when we were going through the questions, the things that we do day to day that we take for granted, we didn't necessarily recognize within ourselves that it was something to be recognised. So a lot of our leadership programs, we just assumed that, we just did it. A lot of our staff are young, that they come to us about 16, 17, 18, and they leave school with, and I'll try and be polite, some of the kids, they leave school with maybe not the best social skills in the world, and maybe some other observations that I could make, but I won't. And as a business, we because we're seasonal, we do employ a lot of that age group. And as a business, we had to do something about that to accommodate that situation. So we set up quite a big leadership program, which encourages our staff straight away to think about leadership and bettering themselves. And this is regardless of background. It's all meritocracy. And so we put them on our program quite early on for those that are interested, and we run it by Zoom or we run it live face to face, but we get 50 plus people go on this program, and the whole internal leadership apprentice program is about 2 years overall, And to be honest with you, by the end of it, you know, they finish their university and they go off and move on, or they finish their apprenticeships. But they often cite us as the company that really helped them develop and fulfill their potential. So there's a whole load of other things that we do in regard to helping our young team develop. And as I say, by getting someone who is really nothing to do with the business help with asking questions about the application, you start to talk about things that you didn't even know that you speak about. So I think that's probably my biggest tip. In regards to the prestige that it's given us, it's pretty huge, to be honest with you. We haven't stopped saying we're Queen's Award winners since we won the Queen's Award. We put it everywhere. And whenever I'm quoted in the local papers, I always tack on that we're Queen's Award winners, because it's elevated our business. Bearing in mind that, and I mean this with great respect to us, we're an amusement park, we're in the leisure industry, and it's not necessarily an industry that is given the same prestige as other industries. So when we have the Queen's Award attached to our name, it elevates us hugely. And you know, we really do, we're very thankful and grateful that we did win it. And I couldn't encourage everyone on here to absolutely go for it. If there's any questions, I'm willing to take them, but yeah, I think that's it.
Super, James, thanks very much. We'll hold on to questions till the end if we can, and then we'll air them all, because some of the other speakers might cover some along the way. So Stuart, and thanks Stuart very much for stepping in for us. Stuart Burns filled a gap when we had somebody else who was unavailable to speak today in the panel. So thanks again, Stuart, for your help.
You're very welcome. I've got a few slides to share. If I press the share button shortly, is that okay?
Okay by me. Is it okay, Emma?
Stop sharing. Yeah, I've stopped sharing, so.
Thank you. And away we go. Can everyone see my screen?
Yeah.
Well, hi everyone. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. It really is. Just soaking up this presentation so far. Fantastic. It's taken me back through our little bit of history with the Queen's and then King's Award and where we are today. I had to Google how many King's Awards or Queen Awards that E2V have got, and it's a lot more than we've got. So very impressive that, Keith. Well done. My name's Stuart Burns, Managing Director of a company called Dura Composites. We're based in Clacton-on-Sea, which is probably more famous for its beaches than its businesses, and that's something that we're looking to help improve or move forward. I'll give you a little bit of a flavour of our business and then our story with these fantastic awards, if that's okay. So we are manufacturers. We manufacture walkways, and we position ourselves as the manufacturers of the lowest carbon walkways in the world. That's our positioning with our target market. And what actually the Queen's Awards and now King's Awards have helped us on is narrow down what our niche is, our unique selling point within the industry. And I think it's, no matter what political persuasion you have, the UK has a clear carbon reduction strategy. You could say the world has a carbon reduction strategy, and that's very, very true. And we've taken that as our clear insight and motivation to see how we can help do as much of that as possible over the years, and especially now. And I certainly don't plan to bore you with this, but I want to demonstrate how the work we do with these awards has also inspired us to help strengthen our values, and that intrinsically becomes intertwined with everything else we're doing. Without the people in the team on the same path, the same journey, sometimes your efforts can be useless. So we have respect, we have innovation, we have decisiveness, and we have encouragement. I've missed the first one out. I'm going to come back to that. Innovation's a key one for us, and you'll see why shortly when I talk about our awards. But the first one that makes up the acronym PRIDE is purpose, and loving what you do. And it's kind of easy for an owner, as I am, to love what you do because it's your livelihood, it's your passion. You started it out a long time ago, and it's your everything. But we've got a lot of staff now, 137, I think, and to try and get that passion into everyone is a significant challenge. And goodness knows how hard it is for really large organisations. And that's why I link this to our vision, which we created about a year ago, and that's to provide the lowest carbon walkways in the world to best maintain our planet. And that has, since we launched it, become very powerful within our organisation. And then when we link our mission, so in our sort of language, that's how we're going to get there, what's important to us on our journey, and that's putting people first, being always planet conscious, but also being performance led. And that's something that's right at the heart of our business. So this lowest carbon walkways thing, what on earth do I mean? Company's called Dura Composites. What's that got to do with it? Well, a composite is any material where there's two elements to it that make it better than it would be if it was otherwise made of only one material. So actually, it's quite a broad spectrum. But in our case, it's a lot around glass reinforced polymers. So it's the material that has been used to manufacture boats for many years. And in fact, that's how we got into this business, because my dad, 1964, I think it was, started manufacturing boats using pioneering technology for pleasure craft mostly. But that picture on your right is a walkway next to a train, and that's to provide safe access for maintenance staff in that particular instance. That's the kind of thing we do. This is a full access walkway structure. So everything you see there is using composite technology to gain safe access. Again, in this case, to a train, but it's the yellow elements, it's the dark grey, which might look like it's steel, but it's a composite GRP. And this next one on your right at the top might look like it's a concrete walkway, or in this case, heavy duty for vehicles as well. But that's also a composite GRP, glass reinforced polymer, hyper strong, but extremely light compared to concrete. Sorry, I think I said steel earlier. It was typically concrete that was used in applications. So that's how we've been able to alter what the industry might use, providing some benefits to those people. And we even now, over the last 7 or 8, 9 years, I think it is, manufacture some front of house items that you and I might stand on. So these are station platforms, which we've now done 68 of, 66 in the UK, and now 2 in Australia. And that looks like it's going to grow significantly. Sometimes I have to pinch myself a bit, thinking, crikey, we're a little company in Clacton and we're supplying goods into Australia. And that was actually an award, a major contributor to our second Queen's Award at the time, now King's Award, which I'll mention shortly. And we even manufacture walkways for balconies, and that's to help out with the post-Grenfell, making sure that all of the materials are fire compliant. So that's another area of our industry. And there's a nice shot of our walkway in a rail environment. So we've been doing this 30 years now. Prior to that, my dad had his boat building company for another 30 years. So we've been doing it a while. We think we're quite agile still, and we've got scale. So we're about 21 million last year. We'll be almost 30 this year. We plan to be 50 in 3 years. And this is not to put off those smaller companies, because when we started our Queen's Award journey, we were a much smaller company. And that's kind of what's given us the springboard to success. We've got 3 King's Awards. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that shortly, but it started in 2017. So we were a lot smaller then. I mentioned we're innovative, and 2 of our King's Awards are for innovation. We've got 22 patents to show for our efforts there. Doesn't mean you have to have patents to win awards, but it shows our emphasis we put in being innovative. And it's brilliantly put by Chloe earlier. You can't just be innovative and say, I've invented a new thing. If no one wants to buy it, you won't be getting a King's Award. You've got to demonstrate that there's a need in the marketplace that you're able to satisfy. A big thing for me and our company is people feeling engaged and happy. So I think we're quite innovative, although I did borrow some of the concept of the idea from a larger company called Timpson. And we do what's called a happy index every Friday. People just punch their number out of 10 as to how they're feeling. And that way we can help people who are feeling like they're not having such a good time, whether that be at home or at work. With this comes high staff retention, and with staff retention comes client continuity, so it's a good thing. Something, if we on another day I would talk about more, is we've just invented the capability to recycle or repurpose our material. So that yellow glowing stuff you see there, we have now been able to invent a method to mechanically turn that back into a flour or powder form, and then we put that into the reconstruction of our walkways, about 20-25%. So it's literally a closed loop circular economy that we literally just about to announce. So, and that was springboarded through the period of our Queen's Award and Grant Awards. So like I said, our first one was 2017, and that was for international trade. So it's a period of growth that you can demonstrate. And my goodness, does it help overseas? Straight away, people are listening to you. There's credibility straight away. Our second one came in 2020, and that was for innovation. That was around the railway station platform product that I mentioned to you, that happens to have a couple of patents on it as well. But that is a super accolade for something that has significant impact on society and the industry, so that they can basically replace platform systems that are old and perhaps even a safety issue, or at least worn out, in a way that is extremely rapid and means that the station platforms are not shut at all, or at least maybe just during engineering hours. So we're really pleased to receive that, and we're incredibly lucky and proud to receive another one in 2024, which was around some further groundbreaking innovation in one of our core product areas that we're incredibly proud to receive. And so we have a sort of a celebration event. Our lovely Lord Lieutenant Jennifer, who's I think on this call, presented us with all of our awards. We have a fantastic day where all of our staff and other invited attendees just feel brilliantly proud, hugely sort of a huge reward for significant efforts across various different areas of the business. And we have actually applied for another one. So if there's anyone there wondering whether this is a good thing to do, we definitely think it is, because we've applied for 3 and been lucky enough to win 3, and we have another one in application that's pending, this time for sustainability. So I've got my fingers crossed that we're successful there. But if we don't get it, we'll apply again, because I'm sure that we can improve our application. How do I think it supports our business? This list could be longer, but there's not even time. Credibility, I mentioned that. There is a competitive edge that it provides you. I'm sure all of you have competition in your arena. It's only natural, and this can provide you that differentiation. I didn't use the word morale, but certainly morale and sense of achievement and proudness and a reflection is just absolutely wonderful. And it must be good, because we've got 3 of them, and we've applied for another one. So I know we've got an opportunity for questions later, but that was all from me. Thank you for listening.
Thanks again, Stu. It's much appreciated, and I'm sure we'll get some questions at the end. Our next speaker is Graham Hickins from Airline Component Services. Thank you, Graham.
I think we can hear you, Graham.
Pick the microphone at the bottom of the screen. It'll have a line through it.
I'm just looking at your mark, Graham. It says it's unmuted, but I don't think anybody's hearing any sound. I had a similar problem using a headset and ended up pulling it all out and just sticking to the computer's microphone and speaker.
You hear me okay now?
Yeah, that's fine, Graham. Thank you.
Can you hear me now, Chloe?
We can hear you.
You hear
Can
me?
hear you.
Oh, you can? Okay, sorry. Sorry, because I can't hear you guys, so I'm just going to carry on the chat. Are you okay putting it onto the next slide, please, Chloe? Thank you. So basically, we won the Queen's Award in 2018, and we won the King's Award in 2024. And so basically, we're a company called Airline Component Services. So we sell structural components around the world for commercial aircraft, Boeing, Airbus products. So it's mainly airlines that we sell to. Started off selling to the UK, and then of course that market expanded quite rapidly as we kind of went along. So when we first applied for the Queen's Award in 2018, we kind of found the application process was achievable. Certainly for at the time, we were a fairly smallish business. And certainly the panel, when we kind of were asking questions, they were very open to dialogue. So that was quite a good and easy way to apply for the award. So that was quite good. And as I go through, there's only 3 slides we've got, but as we kind of go through them, you'll see our staff are all over the awards because they were just so important during the process of applying for it and going through it. But also at the end of the day, when we were presented the award, it was just such a good achievement for everybody involved. And certainly for us as a business, certainly from the international trade point of view, back in 2018, we were just breaking into the US market. And as Stuart alluded to in his previous conversation, that was such a massive, huge bonus for us when we were dealing with America. What we absolutely, basically, we sell a lot of high value components into people, and because the nature of the industry, the components need to move quite quickly. So a lot of time you're trading in components that could be upwards of $50,000-$60,000 per unit. And if it needs to move quickly, you need to get credit. So as soon as we achieved the Queen's Award and had it basically presented all over our website, credit was literally not an issue at all in the US. It was it was quite startling to see actually how quickly the Americans sort of switched onto it, and the sort of recognition you get was just amazing. Could you pop it to the next slide, please, Chloe? So what it basically did, our international reputation was just massively enhanced, and from that, our growth kind of went through the roof. Obviously then COVID happened, so it kind of dropped down a little bit again, and we actually applied again for the King's Award in 2024. And again, once we achieved that, and if you could just pop that onto the next slide again, please, Chloe. We were just breaking into the Asia market in 2024. And I cannot explain to you how much of an absolute asset that was in that region of the world as well. It absolutely solidified our business reputation, certainly in that region, to the point where we were making presentations to airlines I remember one specifically in Hong Kong, where our normal presentation and the kind of the last slide was talking about the King's Award. I would say for the next probably 45 minutes, all they wanted to talk about was the visit to Windsor Castle. Honestly, so now basically in all our presentations, it's 100% the first slide that we put when we're dealing with airlines in Asia. And it's a really, really competitive world out there. It's an unbelievably competitive world, and you need to use every single bit of advantage that you can and every bit of leverage you can. And the UK has an awful lot of soft power out there, and certainly His Majesty the King is a huge, huge boon to that. So I would say 100% leverage every single thing you can. And in the UK, we have the Royal Emblem and the Royal Seal, and it's such a fantastic thing for other companies to see because it just massively enhances your reputation. And then I suppose the other element is, or the biggest element, which is why all these kind of slides emphasize it, it's just what it does to your staff. So all our sort of logoed, we have the kind of King's Award and Queen's Award on all our T-shirts, logos, and the staff just really embrace it. The days are fantastic, and I think you can see on that photo there, Keith piling into a big box of cakes. I'm not sure how many were left there, Keith, but it's a really good day. And on the previous slide, Jennifer Tolhurst coming along. So I cannot emphasize how much of an absolute no-brainer the King's Award is at the moment if you are doing international business abroad, because it is such a fantastic talking point. It's just really good, and I can't speak highly of it. But thanks for listening. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Graham. Much appreciated. And our final speaker is also a multiple award winner. So go ahead, Andy. Thank you.
Yeah, good afternoon. Actually, listening to everybody else's stories, it's just such a similar thing. So my journey begins that I'm the founder and now the chairman. I've been given an upgrade or a downgrade, depends on which way you look at it, putting out to pasture as of Kestrel. We're a massive group of small shipping companies joined together to create an international logistics team. But Kestrel Liner Agencies is where we started. And so if you go on holiday, just explain what we did and where we grew from there. If you go on holiday with British Airways, you arrive at the desk and somebody working for British Airways handles your ticket. They put you on the plane. And then when that plane goes, they then handle the flight to Brussels. If you go on holiday with TUI, Virgin Atlantic, Ryanair, EasyJet, you're probably not dealing with somebody who works for EasyJet. You're probably working for somebody that works just like Kestrel, which is what we do in shipping. So we handle ships. So if P&O Cruises arrive in St. Lucia, for example, you'll have somebody dressed in a nice P&O Cruises outfit, but they actually work for us. And we handle everything to do with the ship, including taking passengers on and off the ship, cargo on and off the ship, organising crew, taking people to hospital, absolutely everything as if we're doing that. So my journey with the Queen's Award started when I was a young sales rep. I was sent to this massive company in Birmingham called Land Rover, and they also now they're Jaguar Land Rover or JLR. And I walked in, and as I went into the car park, I saw this huge emblem. It said, and there was a big flag, and it said the Queen's Award for Export. And I went into their reception, and there was this beautiful vase and this big scroll about the Queen's Award for Export. And I thought, my goodness, what a company! I'm so proud to be British, and have this great award. And so after starting Kestrel, and it went pretty well. 94 we started, and by 97 we were turning over a couple of million, and it then grew and grew and grew. And so in 2007 I decided to apply for a Queen's Award in international trade. For sure I was going to get one. Our growth had been like this. We were the new kids on the block. We changed everything. I mean, talk about disruptors and disruptive. I mean, I was a kid, I was at school, I was the disruptive child who was sat to the back of the class and told, this disruptive child needs to leave. Well, now being a disruptor is pretty cool, and I'm pretty proud of being a disruptor. And I was also dyslexic, or I am dyslexic, but which is why you don't have a big bunch of slides from me, because Nikki and I have been so busy in the last 4 weeks since old Trumpy decided to invade Iran that we've been rather busy trying to reorganise our ships all around the world. So I decided to apply for a Queen's Award for International Trade, and I filled in all the form, and I sent it off, and I got back a no. And I was like, really? I'd worked so hard, and being a dyslexic, I'd filled in all these forms that were very complicated. So the next year I thought, I'm going to try again. So I tried again, and I got a big fat no. And then the numbers all they stacked up. I couldn't understand it. So in 2009, I didn't bother filling in the form. And I got a phone call about 2 weeks before entries were due to close. And the gentleman on the phone phoned me and said, hello, Andrew. He said, we didn't get your application for a Queen's Award this year. And I said, well, no, I've applied twice and I didn't get it. And so I didn't think I'd bother. I'm awfully busy. I don't have a big team of people to do this. It's me sitting on an aeroplane, typing this into my computer. And he said, my dear boy, do you think the Queen hands them out like confetti at a wedding? He said, we're watching you and we like what you're doing. We just want you to do a little bit more. And at that point, enter Nikki Thorne, the non-dyslexic, articulate person who actually understands how to read and write and understands questions. So she would ask me a question, I'd answer it, and she'd say, that's not what they've asked you. So this is my first lesson to you. Somebody else said, get somebody in from outside. It doesn't need to be somebody who's an expert. It needs to be somebody to ask them a question. And I would suggest a teacher, a lawyer, an accountant, someone, ask them the question, say, what do you think they're asking? Because for me, the question they were asking was not the answer I was giving. So in 2009, we filled in the form, sent it off, and we got all the way nearly to the end, and we got no. But we got a really, really lovely letter. It said, we love what you're doing. Keep at it. And if this improved over here a little bit, and this was changed a little bit over there, we think you might see yourself to a Queen's Award. Armed with that information, we went again in 2010. Still probably the best day of my life. What it did for our company, the way it propelled us, all these people that have joined us on this journey, had left safe companies to come and work for this crazy, dyslexic disruptor to create this shipping company that was changing everything about the way that shipping companies handled themselves. It was for them. The late nights, not seeing my kids, them not seeing their kids. It was all of us. And so it was just a spectacular moment. As you can tell. So, having won our Queen's Award and propelling our business and all the newspapers and all the dignitaries wanting to know all about this company, and our business took off. We thought it had taken off in 2010 when we got our first Queen's Award. We hadn't seen anything yet. And one of the great stories, somebody said what it did to their business in America and in Asia. We went after representing one of the big roll-on, roll-off shipping lines. You've seen the huge car ferries, and they're bringing all the cars, and you've seen them with BYD and all that. There'd be big ships that came in cars. We wanted that business. We wanted to be in on that business at the beginning. So we went for it. And the big Korean shipping line had announced that they were going to start service to the UK, where we wanted to represent them. And we called them, and they said, well, sort of, we've made our decision, and, you know, we're interviewing shipping agents now, and, you know. And so, not to be put off, Nikki and I jumped on a plane. We were actually in Miami, and we jumped on a plane via London to Seoul, Korea. And Nikki made the PowerPoint presentation on the plane. And the first slide was me meeting the Queen. Now, bearing in mind, this company had already made their decision. They told us not to bother coming. They hadn't actually signed the contract, and we arrived, and there were all the big, well, I call them stuffies, all the old established shipping agents in the UK, you know, and they were all there, the upstart from Essex, as they used to call me. Anyway, I sat there waiting to go in, and I was sent in last, just basically to be, actually I was sent before lunch. I was sent the last one before lunch, and they were breaking at 1 o'clock for lunch. And I was sent in as the kind of, well, let's give this guy some lip service, then we can put him on his plane and he can go home. And we put the presentation up, that first picture, me shaking hands with the Queen. Queen Elizabeth, Queen Elizabeth. Oh. And they're looking at me, looking at the picture, looking at Queen Elizabeth. They said, you've been Buckingham Palace? Yes. We spent 40 minutes talking about the Queen. We did not talk about my presentation. We did not talk about anything about Kestrel. They actually cared about the fact that we'd been to see the Queen, and that legitimised our business beyond absolutely everything that anybody else could put up. All these people with ISO 9001, all these people in their suits, all of that, that was what sealed it. We walked out of there, and I said to the fellas, we're going for lunch with them. I don't know what time you lot are going in. We went for lunch. They didn't go in. We won the contract. That gives you an idea of the power, not only of the Queen's Awards for International Trade and for the other categories, and now the King's Award, but also the power, the soft power, I heard it talked about, of the royal family and what it means internationally. And so we carried on growing our business, and then we thought, oh, it's been a few years, should we have another go? And we went straight in 2018, and we got another one. And then we did it again in 2022. And then we did it again, very fortunately, in 2024. And we had a great party. We invited everybody from around the world. We hired a cruise ship on the Thames in London. And we invited everybody from all around the world. And Claire came out and gave us our King's Award for International Trade on a cruise ship with about 300 of our employees and their families. And we had carnival dancers, and it was a very, very, very spectacular evening. But there's something else that the Queen's Awards for International Trade have done, and now the King's Award. It elevated me in a way that I couldn't ever have imagined. And I was invited to Chogham 2015 in Malta to discuss the blue economy. Now we've all heard about the blue economy. In those days, what's the blue economy? What's that? Well, it's how do we sustainably look after our oceans and all of those things. And I got to meet the Prince of Wales at that time, who was impressed by the fact that I was there with the British delegation, and I was introduced by the Barbados High Commissioner for the United Kingdom. And he saw my Queen's Award logo. He said, "Oh, very good, you have a Queen's Award logo." He said, "Have you heard of the Prince's Trust?" And I said, "Yes, sir, I have." And he said, "Good, because I want to launch it internationally. And I hear that you're involved in small island states, the Caribbean, Pacific Islands and places like that." And I said, "Yes." And he said, "I want to have Prince's Trust International." And over a couple of cups of coffee and some bits of paper, we scribbled out the start of what was Prince's Trust International, which is now King's Trust International. And now, as a founder of the King's Trust International, which is Prince's Trust, I'm involved in a very high level, dealing with all kinds of things that makes our business more sustainable. Our motto, teach, show, let them have a go, has been something that we've been able to give to our people in the islands, and we teach them, and we make the employees shareholders in that business. So as we start new companies and new businesses in the Caribbean and the Pacific Islands, we make the employees shareholders. So they learn about how to run a business, and we get young people in. And my story, growing up in a single parent family, leaving school at 16 with no qualifications, receiving a Queen's Award 3 times and then a King's Award. And as you can see, I mean, beyond all my beliefs, to get an OBE in the New Year's Honours List was just spectacular. There's a couple of things I want to say before I finish. Direct Meats in Colchester also received a Queen's Award in 2022. Just before they were about to put their application in, they said, "What do you think?" And I said, "Why don't you let Nikki have a look at it?" And Nikki didn't rewrite it, but changed quite a lot, because all that they were doing was exactly what we talked about at the beginning. The question that they thought they were answering was not the question being asked by the panel. Now, whether or not Nikki made it happen for them or not, I don't know, but they did get a Queen's Award for International Trade. So I think that those things are real takeaways. And Nikki and I are more than happy to spend time with any of you talking about your application. And we will probably go for something in sustainability next year. We won't be able to do it this year. We're just too busy. We've been unbelievably busy. Our business has grown. We're now 200 and something employees. We're going to turn over 250 million globally this year. And as I said, it put me out to pasture. They've called me chairman now. So that's basically our story. I hope it inspires other people to go for it. It's been the most magical journey. And for me to be, invited to Windsor Castle, I'm going up to Dumfries House next week, and I shall be in New York at the end of April, and we all know what's going on there. Those things are just spectacular opportunities for British business, and it means everything. Do not be dissuaded. I failed 3 times. I got it in the end. I told you. I think you saw it in my voice. one of the best things that ever happened to me, certainly the best day of my life. Thank you.
That's excellent, Andy. Thanks so much for sharing those experiences, and I kind of remember those emotions myself from when I was CEO at E2V and we won our first award in my tenure. So thanks very much. It's super story. We did talk about support and third-party help. There are obviously professional organisations who can do the work for you for a fee, of course. We also, as Andy's mentioned, many of the companies who are prepared to support our efforts in promoting the awards are also prepared to offer a little bits of guidance to potential applicants. So we will be able to and can connect you with a past winner if you're wrestling with any particular issue in the process. And as you've heard Chloe said, she's the King's Award office will do their best to answer any challenges or questions you might have too. It's fairly low key at the moment, but Anglia Ruskin University are always looking for decent placements for postgrads. So bright people, don't know anything about your business, but we may be able to connect you with through the university to a bright person who can perhaps help with some heavy lifting, gathering data, whatever it might be. So we'll provide some contact details, I think, for you've seen the information for Chloe. There'll be some contact details for myself, Claire Doby and Emma. You can try and jot them down if you like, or take a picture on your camera, but we're available should you wish to contact us to try and help with that. So shall we push on into questions and answers, please? And I encourage the panel just to feel free to jump in with any answers that they may wish to give. So anybody have any questions for us? Okay. Jackie, can you go first? Thanks.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not putting my camera on because I'm not long out of hospital. Can I just say, first of all, absolutely bloody brilliant session. I've never heard so many great Essex business stories being told in such a short level of time. So well done to everybody who's pulled this together. And I love the variety of it. And I also love Andy's session about try again, don't give up. Just a question, given that we've got, I don't know how many people on this session today, how are we getting this message out to other businesses to help promote the King's Award for Enterprise? Have we got these case studies on a website that could be shared? I'm part of an innovation growth hub in Southend called Launchpad. We've got access to over 30 30 centres across the UK with over 1,000 businesses in it. And I'd love to be able to get this out across Oxford Innovation Space to promote it.
I'll just jump in there. Emma Curtis from Essex County Council.
Hi, Emma.
If you follow the LinkedIn channel Essex Growth Agency, you will see we've done some previous award winner videos already and some other social media assets, and this video will also be shared on our Essex Growth Agency channel. But if there's any sort of events or meetings you'd wish one of us to come to present, we'll be more than happy to do so. I've put all our contact details in the chat because we want as many Essex winners as possible. I don't think it was touched on, but is it 60 years this year, Keith, since the awards have been running?
Absolutely right. I think we forgot to mention the celebration. Yeah.
So it'd be fantastic to get.
How many winners have we had in total, Emma?
Well, this is the difficulty. You have to go through the Gazette archives to actually find that specifically, but we know it's over 50. So it'd be great to say it's over 60, wouldn't it, at some point? Oh, Chloe, are you going to come in and tell me the number?
I don't have the number off my head, but what I do have is an update on that. We are currently creating an online database of all of our historical winners across all of the categories. So we're hoping for that to be live very soon. And what that will mean is that businesses can search on the database for businesses in their area, particular categories. We get lots of questions saying, am I the first business in my sector to win this award? Or am I the first business to win three awards in this category, etc. So that's what we are currently working on. But I've also just put my email again in the chat. I'd be very happy to share any content that could be put out in a newsletter or on socials. And we obviously have our own social media channels as well, which we would really value you resharing, particularly when we launch on the 6th of May. But yeah, thank you.
Brilliant. Thanks, ladies.
Thanks, Chloe. Therese?
Yeah, hi, thank you. I echo the amazing presentations, thank you. It kind of made me feel a bit of an imposter being here, though, hearing these amazing success stories. So I just wondered if I could ask about the Innovation Award. You mentioned about a minimum eligible criteria of something like 250,000 turnover or whatever it was for one of them. I think that was the sustainability one. I wasn't quite sure. Is there a criteria for the Innovation Award and also for the Young Founder Award? I'm a co-director with my son, and it's his invention that we've commercialized and marketed. We make high-speed 3D printers. We are manufacturers in the UK. I just wonder if there's a criteria for that as well.
Thank you. So for the firstly on the innovation one, there's no set criteria for minimum turnover for the innovation one. We just, as I mentioned, we ask that you show evidence of that product or service being commercially successful. And we do like to see a return on investment, either whether that's happened already or you can show evidence that it is likely to provide a return on investment in the coming years. So that is the main criteria that we look for there. And then on the Young Founder one, it is a new category this year. So we have looked at the possibility of sort of co-founders. So did you say that your son is also a co-founder? Yes. Then that would be okay. But I'd be very happy to talk to you more about it. That was the one that did have the minimum turnover or investment criteria for that one. But yeah, as I say, it's a new category this year, so there's lots of new areas and elements to it. So I'm very happy to pick that one up with you. What I would suggest for anyone on the call as well, when we do open on the 6th of May, you can register straight away, and what you can do is download a PDF copy of the application form so that you can look through all of the questions, and if it just gives you an idea of the type of things that we ask for. And we do have a short 10-minute eligibility questionnaire for each of those categories, just so that you hopefully won't be wasting any time if you're not upfront eligible for those categories. And that will hopefully just give you an idea of the type of things that we would be looking for.
That's great, thank you. Will you be sharing your contact details again?
Yeah, I can. So I've just put my email at our mailbox email in the chat there. But
and I will circulate the presentation to all attendees today as well, so you will get a copy of the presentation from today. Yeah,
and feel free to add me on LinkedIn as well.
Lovely, thank you.
Just one thing that Chloe mentioned, and I'd forgotten about it. Do not leave this application, okay, until August. Download it, read it, start making notes. They will come to you, the things that are really important that you've forgotten about, that you think are unimportant. One of the things that I hadn't even mentioned was a young lad that had started with us working in the Caribbean, who I saw, this young entrepreneur, and I said to him, come with me on this journey. And we took him from being a dock runner to running an entire island. And it was important, but I'd just forgotten his journey. And when we went back and wrote it all down and we put it in the application, I was actually stopped by somebody who was one of the panelists to read the final applications for our 2024 King's Award. And he stopped me at an event in London, and he said to me, "I read your application." He said, "Remarkable." And so, you know, and that was the story he'd remembered. So make notes, get it in early. Sorry about that, Chloe.
No, you're absolutely right, and it is a piece of work to get these applications done, and if you attempt to do it late, it won't work. You do have to start early, and put the effort in across a period of time to pull it all together and make it work properly, and tell your story, warts and all, and the challenges you've overcome. It all matters, but the reason the award counts so much is because it's not easy to win, and all of our speakers today have demonstrated what a good business looks like, and that it can be won, but it's not easy. Excellent. Any other questions from anyone? I can't see any hands raised unless somebody wants to tell me otherwise. Jenny, welcome. You're on mute.
Yeah, okay. Thanks very much, Keith. Thank you for including me in this. It has really been a stunning webinar. It's so nice to see all these people who I've met over the years. Stuart Burns 3 times, amazing. Andy Thorne, gosh, what a presentation that was, Andy. So many really powerful messages there. And of course, Graham as well, and James Miller. I'm so grateful to Keith for putting this together, to working with Essex County Council. It's one of the remits of the Lieutenancy to make sure that we recognise the excellence of our businesses in Essex. And I was extremely fortunate to be introduced to Keith, who not only has got first-hand experience of this, but is a very safe pair of hands and has stolidly worked with Claire actually to widen the scope of it and the interest lots of other people. Thank you so much for today, and I hope that it's going to result in even more wonderful businesses being recognised. Thank you.
Thank you. And yeah, it's been a tremendous team effort, and lots of additional support that's new to us this year from the county council, with the new marketing team have done a good job for us. Okay, well, if there is no more questions, and I can't see any more hands raised, so I think oh.
Sorry, Keith, can I just add on that point actually that your marketing this year has been, the last few weeks has been brilliant. The video from James as well on Adventure Island was brilliant, really good. So just thank you so much for that content that you're continuing to put out, because it does make a huge difference. We are a small team, and we really do rely on our champions and our current recipients to help spread the message to new businesses that aren't aware of the awards. So thank you for all of the efforts that have gone into that as well.
Well, it's nice for us to be noticed. Thank you. Andy.
Yeah, just in closing, somebody mentioned earlier, it's a competitive world. It's a very competitive world. It's very difficult. You are competing on an international stage, whether in international trade or sustainability or innovation. Everybody is out there with similar criteria. It is our trump card. When all things are equal, when there's nowhere else for us to go, the fact that we have that royal warrant, I mean, it's, in fact, we've been so busy, I haven't actually mounted our King's Award yet, but here it is, and this is what you get. It's signed by the King. I promise you, you've seen what a slush I am anyway. Once you read it, if you aren't blabbering like a baby, I challenge anybody, because it is the most spectacular thing to receive. Okay. And, you know, and not only for me and for my employees and everybody, but for my children and my grandchildren. And when you're long gone, this will be here. And this is a royal warrant, and they are rare. And if you've got one, you know what you've got. And if you want one, work jolly hard to achieve it, because it will be your trump card at some point when you're against a competitor somewhere in the world. We have a royal family. We have royal warrants. They mean something. Our royal family are instantaneously recognisable. And that's it, really. Thank you.
Brilliant, Andy. Thanks very much. Okay, well, if there is no more questions, I suggest we bring proceedings to a halt. Another thank you to all our speakers who have managed to enable us to get all the time we needed for Q&A. So thank you all again. And for those attending, it's great that you've taken time to listen. You're very welcome to contact us. As we've indicated, you'll be able to get access to our contact details if we can help in any way. And we look forward to you all making your application shortly. Thanks very much.